Oh, well, that was an experience. The Browns were at one point up 41-14, almost came within 3 points of blowing a gigantic lead. And then lo and behold, this team does the same thing they did against Washington. They did the same thing when their back was against the wall against Cincinnati. When it was time for the Browns to either put up or shut up, make or break, choke or not choke, the Browns decided to hit the not choke button and make some incredibly clutch plays. Odell Beckham with the massive 50-yard touchdown, and then the gift of that 2-point conversion after that. This is a big win for the Cleveland Browns. Make no mistake about it. I don't care that they came back. I don't care that the Browns were once up by 25 and then they only won by 11. I don't care. This is a big win. You learned a lot of big things about this team, and I think this is a win that gives you confidence that this is not going to be 2019 all over again. Now, why is that? Well, let's talk about it. Real quick before this video starts, I want to make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload a ton of Browns content coming up in the given days and the given weeks during the season. So if you don't want to miss it, please lock it down here. Subscribe, ding that notification bell so you don't miss a single thing. So I'm going to give a brief overview of kind of what happened today in my opinion. What did I see? One, the Browns again, as I mentioned in the intro, did what good teams do, right? You have your back against the wall. It looks like the Dallas Cowboys are going to make that comeback. You know, you do what Atlanta didn't do, right? Atlanta let them come back and win that game. The Browns put their back against the wall, made the plays that needed to be made with their big-time players getting the interception at the end of that drive, and then also Odell with the touchdown and putting the game away, not allowing yourself to lose a game in that fashion. And again, I said this a lot last week, but I'm going to say it again. The Browns have been in a similar position to the Dallas Cowboys many of times where you put up this valiant effort to come back and boom, the other team just decides to turn it back on and then you lose again. That's what the Browns are doing to other teams now on the road. Let's also point out the significance of this happening on the road, because that's been a huge question of Browns teams in the past, right? Can this Browns team win on the road? How good are they on the road? Well, this time they went on the road, they performed, they put up a ton of points, and it doesn't look like that's an issue, and that's a huge credit to the coaching. Another thing you learned about this Cleveland Browns team is that you can run the ball against anybody, and almost with anyone, it looked like. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt did not see a lot of snaps today. Kareem Hunt was injured coming into the game. Nick Chubb got injured during the game. I hope everything is okay with both of those backs. You need them down the line, and I think they would have went a long way to help putting this game away if those two were healthy, but you didn't have them. You didn't have them available. You had Dearness Johnson, and you had Dontrell Hilliard, who did a very good job filling in, but they're not Chubb and Hunt. So I think Chubb and Hunt would have did a lot to help make sure some of those 3-and-outs wouldn't have been 3-and-outs. The defense. Now, this is the end of the positive stuff. The defense is going to be a season-long issue because there's no real long-term fix to the problems with specifically the safeties and specifically the free safety position, because Andrew Sedale, Sheldrick Redwine, they're both not really fixes in that position. And also, I would love to see by the middle part to late part of the season, Baker take a huge step in his development, but I'm going to talk about that later on. The first thing I'm going to talk about, though, is the defense. So I'm not going to lie. The defense was pretty good for 3 quarters, right? Like, they did a pretty good job. Browns were up 41-14 at a point. They got a bunch of 3-and-outs. They were stopping this offense. They were doing good. And why were they able to do that? Well, they got pressure with their front four. Just like we discussed in the preview, if you can get pressure with your front four, Dak becomes a pedestrian. And that's what happened. But what happened eventually? The Browns don't have depth in their defensive line. And that's going to come up and be an issue, right? Andrew Billings opted out. Adrian Claiborne was hurt today. You just didn't have a ton of depth there. You had to have Sione Takitaki taking some snaps out there at the edge rush position. So you're just not deep there. And what happens when you're not deep is you get tired. And what happened when this pass rush got tired, you couldn't just send your front four to get pressure on Dak, which meant you had to blitz. And one, Dak's the best quarterback in the NFL against the blitz, so that wasn't a good idea to begin with. But also, the Browns are probably one of the teams that are in the worst position personnel-wise to be blitzing a lot for two very good reasons. And those two good reasons are Carl Joseph and Andrew Sadejo. Now, this is no disrespect to these two players, but they're slow. They're very slow safeties. And the issue when you blitz a lot with those slow safeties is that they can't cover the amount of ground that they need to when you send extra DBs at the quarterback, which gives Dak the entire field to work with. And again, Dak's very good against the blitz. He's going to dice you up. Dak was going to dice up this defense. I thought it was kind of inevitable. I was surprised that they were able to keep it at 14 so long. So I'm not so concerned that Dak was able to move the ball against them. I anticipated that, but it's also the manner in which they did it and how poorly they were able to handle some of these back-end coverages when the defense was blitzing a lot. That's a big issue. That cannot continue in the later parts of the season. So something has to be done about that. Right now, I don't see the solution on the roster because Ronnie Harrison is not faster. He's actually slower than Andrew Sadejo. He runs a 4.7. Andrew Sadejo runs like a 4.6 or 4.5. So he's just as slow as Sadejo, if not slower. You have Redwine, who's a 4.4, 4.5 guy. Not blistering fast, but much faster than Sadejo. So you might have to see him have some snaps out there, but then it compounds with the other issues that the defense has, right? The secondary has all these communication issues. If you take a veteran out of there and replace him with a guy who hasn't seen a ton of snaps in the NFL with Redwine, is that going to make that problem worse so you can blitz more when you shouldn't be blitzing at all with this secondary? Is that the right move they should have done? I don't know. There are some serious questions that need to be answered in that secondary, no doubt. And something has to be done from a personnel level. I've gone on for weeks saying it's not the personnel, it's communication, but they haven't blitzed a lot. When they were blitzing a lot, that exposed something deeply, deeply concerning about this defense that needs to be addressed as soon as possible, hopefully, and that is the lack of speed at the safety position. I knew it wasn't great. I didn't know it was this bad, and when it's this bad, you're going to have some massive issues if teams start to try to take advantage of that, and you already have massive issues in your secondary, so can't compound these things. The good news is that we learned Denzel Ward and Terrence Mitchell, they're not part of the problem. The linebackers, they're really not a part of the big problem there. They had decent days today. I thought the linebackers played pretty well in coverage against the run. I thought Denzel Ward and Terrence Mitchell had themselves a really good game. Denzel Ward made the big play at the end of the game, and Denzel Ward is putting together a really good season so far. He's just one player, though. He's just manned up on one person. Same thing with Terrence Mitchell. They can't fix the entire thing, but they're nice to have out there. And when you can get a pass rush with the front four, they're more effective as a unit because you have Terrence Mitchell and because you have Denzel Ward. But given the problems with the secondary aren't really with the outside corners, that's why I don't think Greedy Williams coming back is going to make a great deal of a difference in that area, because he's not going to come back off injury after 6 weeks playing better than Terrence Mitchell is. This is not realistic. So given that through 4 weeks, I think we can accurately diagnose some of the issues with the defense, right? The linebackers really haven't been the hole on this defense that they were in the first 2 weeks of the season. The linebackers haven't really been the problem with the defense. Neither has the defensive line, neither have your outside corners. It's definitely the safeties, and there's 2 ways to address this problem. One, obviously, try to add a good, fast safety. I don't know what options are out there. I still don't think Earl Thomas would be a great fit, because Earl Thomas, again, is more of a cover one safety. It just wouldn't be a fit for Earl Thomas, and fit was a huge issue in Baltimore, and this is a worse fit than Baltimore, so you might bring in some locker room problems, which you definitely don't need. So find a way to add a fast safety through trades or whatever you can do. So there's that solution, right? You can add a safety. Now that comes with its own issues. How good is the safety that's going to be available? How much do you have to give up for them? How hard is it going to be to find? Is that player going to be worth more when it comes to trade equity? Is it not going to be worth it? Also, are they going to be able to fit in with this system, or are they going to contribute to the communication problems already going on in the secondary? So that's a little bit of a complicated fix. It's simple on the surface, but it's more of a complicated fix. The simple fix, and this is going to sound crazy to some people, but I think what the Browns should do is add 2 good defensive linemen through whatever means they can do that. because if you give Miles and this front four some reinforcements and some help, and it could come with faster DBs in the backfield, well, specifically faster safeties, but it can also come with just giving them more people so that defensive line can keep pressuring with just the front four the entire game. One of those two things need to happen, because if not, this defense is going to be a massive, massive problem. I mean, they haven't given up less than 30 points the entire season, so this needs to be fixed. The Browns should be looking in the trade market to do something, and I think if you bolster this defensive line, you give them enough depth that they can keep rotating and stay fresh, that's one way to solve the problem, or you can get a faster free safety. But one of those two things need to be done. But that's it for the defense. Let's talk about the offense. Now, I'm going to start this off with no complaints really about the offense. They almost put up 50 points. What more can you ask out of an offense? At that point, you need your defense to step it up if you have to score 50 points to win. The offensive line and Odell Beckham were definitely the MVPs of this game. And this goes into the rant I think I do it weekly, right? Where people ask, how many targets does Odell need, or how many snaps does Kareem Hunt, or how do you feed all these mouths? The problem with the feed all these mouths narratives is it acts as if every game you have to give every star player a certain amount of snaps or a certain amount of targets in order to keep them happy, like you're playing football on a spreadsheet. It's not how football works. Some games you will be able to go crazy with Odell. Some games you're not going to have Nick Chubb. Some games you're not going to have Kareem Hunt. Some games you're going to have to go down to just your third and fourth running back, and you're going to need your offensive line to step up. Some games you're going to need a combination of your offensive line stepping up and Odell stepping up. This is why it's important that the Browns have the diversity of star power that they have, but also the amount of firepower on the offensive side of the ball, because now you have options. Baker's not going today. Jarvis not going today. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are down, no problem. Offensive line's going to bully. Odell Beckham's going to eat both in the receiving game and also in the run game. He had 3 touchdowns total, over 100 yards, almost 200 yards total. Odell Beckham with a massive game. Also, let's talk about Odell Beckham, because there was a lot of chatter within Browns fandom. Not a ton, not overwhelming, but there was a good amount of chatter about trading Odell after a disappointing first game. There was a lot of ridiculous talk around the NFL by other teams' fans that Odell Beckham was not physical enough to play in the AFC North, that Odell Beckham was not good enough as a wide receiver to play in it. Just all kind of ridiculous stuff gets said about Odell. But what do I say every time somebody brings up Odell? Nobody wants to actually go to the tape with Odell, because when you go to the tape, you see a physical wide receiver. You see somebody who's bought in. You see somebody who's enjoying themselves on the field. You see somebody who's doing everything it takes to win. That's what Odell did today. When he needed to put the team on his back, he put the team on his back. That's what you want. A big-time player making big-time plays. So I want everybody watching this video to know we are no longer seriously entertaining the thought of trading Odell Beckham this season. It's not on the table. This is why. Because Odell Beckham is Odell Beckham. Some of y'all forgot. Some of y'all definitely forgot. But Odell Beckham is Odell Beckham, and this is why you have guys like Odell, because Baker's not at that point in his development where he can just be a baller and take care of things on his own, much like Big Ben in his first 5 years. That's not who Baker Mayfield is. He needs help. He needs support. Maybe 3-4 years down the line, he'll be that guy. But right now, that's not who he is. That's fine. All we need Baker to do is get the ball downfield, get the ball to the guys that need to get the ball, and not turn the ball over. That's exactly what Baker Mayfield did. I would love to see in the second half of this season him to make that development, so when they are down in the fourth quarter by 10, you can trust Baker Mayfield to sling it a little bit more often, to get more out of Jarvis and Odell. But for the time being, this is absolutely fine. Baker's right where he needs to be in his development, and this is a good way to use him. So, yeah, Baker missed a couple throws. He missed that one throw on third down to Odell that was wide open. Just a pure miss, no excuse for that. So Baker does need to improve. He needs to make some steps during this season. But right now, I'm okay with where he's at. He made the right plays. He did not hurt you. He did not turn the ball over. He did not lose you this game that your other stars came and helped you win. And sure, you can ask for more out of Baker, obviously. That's obviously possible, but why would you need to? That's why you have all this talent around him. That's why you acquired all this talent, is so it didn't have to be Baker Mayfield. So that's fine. All in all, I have to say this is a very good win for the Browns. You know, they ended up winning this game by double digits. They were up huge early on. I understand some fans will be disappointed that they let them back into the game, but the bigger thing is that they didn't blow the game because, man, that would have been some old school Browns vibe. But now this team feels different. This team feels like a real, actually good team. Not a team we want to believe is good. Not a team that we think might be good. Not a team that we think is winning flukishly. This is just a good team. When they turn it on, they can score against anybody. They can run against anybody. Their defense needs to be fixed, but maybe there's some fixes out there available in the trade market, or maybe, you know, there's a free agent on the street that can come in and help things. It happened for Baltimore last year at around this time. So this is a good win. Are there things to take away to learn from this win? Absolutely. But a win on the road, beating a team like Dallas, who's going to be a playoff team, in my opinion, by multiple points. You know, this team has come back. Dallas has come back on multiple large, 20-point comebacks this season. This is a team that's done that a lot. Dak Prescott's playing like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and you staved that off in Dallas. Take that in. The Browns had a big road win today. What more can you ask for? But that's my thoughts on today's game. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Are you excited? Are you extremely happy to be 3-1 like I am? Or are you a little bit more cynical? Do you think that the issues on the defensive side will ultimately be the Achilles heels, and that's a reason to kind of temper their enthusiasm? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.